Hello everybody, we got some exciting news about the beta when it comes to Cold War. They've just released patch notes explaining the individual changes that you can expect to see. I know a bunch of people put out another video talking about the maps and the modes and stuff like that. The increased FOV, which is incredibly important. We'll talk a little bit about FOV in today's video, but I wanted to go through those patch notes since they were just released so you have an idea of how much they've changed from alpha to beta. Keeping in mind that when we played the alpha, that version of the game was already like 3 or 4 months old. They just gave us access to play it so they can kind of work out some of the kinks. So by the time the beta's already been worked on for several months and they put it out, we should see some significant changes from alpha to beta, and the beta has already been worked on for quite a while. And then once we get play tested, there's a significant jump from today's version of the beta once we get a chance to jump into it in the next day or two on PlayStation and the next week across all platforms. So we're going to be reading through those patch notes. If you do enjoy the video, let me know by hitting the like button. Goal in today's video is 2,500 likes. If you're brand new looking to find your way back for more Call of Duty content, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on. Also, if you're interested in getting your hands on early access to the beta, go ahead and check out my community Discord. I'm going to be running a giveaway for 5 beta codes that were given to me from Activision so that I can give away to my community. So if you haven't already joined the Discord, it's one of the top links near the top of the description, and it'll be in the giveaway section of the channel. So this is the journey from alpha to beta, and the different changes, there's a ton of different ones. Obviously, like I said, there's a bunch of different maps and modes you're going to be able to play once the beta drops that were additional maps and modes that we didn't get access to during the alpha if you had a chance to play the alpha. But there's also a lot of other changes. Movement. We've made a large tuning pass on core movement with the goal of improving the responsiveness of the player controls and actions. We've identified several key areas in our core movement set for improvements, largely focused on sprinting and sliding. Core movement, integrated updated locomotion animations and systems for walking, jogging, and sprinting. Slightly increased acceleration when moving from a standstill. That's going to increase the pace. Sprinting, reduced or removed several sprint penalties that could leave the player in a state of reduced sprint speed. This results in more opportunities to use the sprint takeoff feature for a quick burst of speed when initiating a sprint. Increase the time it takes to ramp down from maximum or minimum sprint speed for a smoother change of speed. This also slightly increases the time at which a player can sprint at a faster pace. That's weird. It sounds like they're integrating tactical sprint in a way because they're talking about faster sprint. So there's different modes, even though it's going to look the same visually. That is a little bit weird. Slightly adjusted camera bob during sprint to better align with updated movement animations. Disabled field of view increase when sprinting. This should provide a smoother in-game view and prevent the floating camera feeling when sprinting. Okay, so they've adjusted that out. And like I said, they did adjust field of view, so now it will be available on console across all platforms going into the Cold War beta as well as the full game. Be interesting to see if those effects transfer over to Warzone eventually. Reduce the slide speed. This thing was out of hand, especially if you got into the habit of jump sliding. You could slide and strafe at the same time. Make yourself a very hard target to hit. Increase the minimum amount of time player must sprint before sliding to better align with the time to reach max speed sprint. This means a player cannot immediately trigger a slide from a near standstill. Okay, cool. Address an issue where players were allowed to cancel a slide without the appropriate slowdown. This will be continuing to monitor, investigate any slide cancel exploits. So they're going to try and cut down on that particular mechanic so that you can't just stop and go your movement. And it's going to be a little bit smoother and a little bit more predictable in a sense of gameplay. So here's the part that I was talking about in today's video. Hopefully they've broken down a lot of the different things. So weapons and Gunsmith. We've refined our weapons tech and animations since the alpha, completed numerous tuning and tweaking passes on our weapons, and added more detailed attachment statistics in the Gunsmith. We've also made several positive changes to how sniper rifles work based off alpha data and feedback. Sniper rifles are a key component in Black Ops combat, in some ways more relevant than ever in Black Ops Cold War. With the support for large maps and game modes as well as cross-platform, sniping can be effective and offer an extremely powerful playstyle to balance out cross-play sniping, because obviously keyboard and mouse, there's no comparison to controller and keyboard and mouse when it comes to sniping. A lot of the red gunning, the gunfights don't last that long, but the ability to be able to just whip, snap on a dude's head, click, and literally insta-delete them is way more powerful if somebody is good with keyboard and mouse. It's not easy to do, but generally a good keyboard and mouse player could destroy with sniping compared to a controller player, even the top ones, in my opinion. To balance out this crossplay sniping, we've brought back aim assist for snipers on controller, something we haven't had in Black Ops multiplayer since Black Ops 2, which basically means they skipped it for Black Ops 3, right? And Black Ops 4. So this is going to be a nice change to kind of balance that out. But personally, sometimes it's too strong, then it's too easy to do on controller, and it kind of removes a little bit of the skill gap. The data from the alpha proved to us, even without crossplay on larger maps, sniper rifles were still dominant on smaller maps as well. As a result, we made some adjustments to bring them back into the balance for the beta, and look forward to seeing the community can do with these finely tuned precision weapons. Here's a list of the changes, the weapons, and Gunsmith statistics. So Gunsmith, they added a more detailed breakdown of statistics of each attachment, explaining in detail how each attachment influences the weapon stats. Move the Gunsmith UI button closer to the weapon for easier access. Recoil and firing animations. Added new weapon recoil systems and firing animations that with comprehensive tuning paths for revamp weapon firing feel on every weapon for both hipfire and ADS. Reworked and rebalanced all the recoil patterns, impacting weapon balance and mastery across the board. Full touch-up pass on animations across all weapons based on feedback. That's the reload. People said they look kind of cheesy or whatever. There's going to be so many changes you guys won't even believe how big a difference this game is going to feel. ADS. Added new ADS weapon rendering technology for more realistic ADS perspective. Smoothed out all the ADS in and out transitions. Because in case you guys didn't remember from the alpha, it was like this. Like, it was super jerky. So now it's going to have those frames where it's actually smooth, and it's not like nothing, skip 7 frames and automatically ADS. So it's going to be a nice change there. General weapon tuning. Made tuning across the alpha weapons that overperformed or underperformed, including increases to the AK-74U recoil and ADS time. So they made it slower because it's not ADS speed, it's ADS time. And then the recoil, they made it a little bit harder to manage because it is an SMG. You're not going to be able to beam people at range. Increasing LMG ammo capacity and more. That's a little tricky. They did have a little small ammo capacity, especially when you're talking about some of the previous Call of Duty. So it's a nice change there. Attachment tuning. Full attachment balance pass to ensure all attachments stay relevant and balanced. Sniper rifles. Added aim assist on snipers for controller users for cross-platform balancing. Several precision aiming adjustments to help the sniping experience feel more fluid. Sniper Glint now displays more often and more reliably to help players understand when they are in danger. And that's a good thing, because sometimes you'd be like, damn, dude, sniping, you can't even see the glint. So it's a good thing, in my opinion, to be able to know that someone's sniping at you so that you can play that differently than just if they're ADSing with whatever. And then it also gives them the option, if maybe they don't use a sniper scope, that they can hide that glint at an increased risk that maybe it's a little harder to hit the shot. Adjusted ADS times for the sniper rifles probably means they slowed them down. I can't imagine they made them faster. Sniper rifles now require higher hits on the body. So instead of stomach, you're going to need chest. For one hit eliminations, for example, upper chest instead of stomach, exactly. And then upper arms instead of lower arms. So instead of like forearm, now you got to hit the shoulder or whatever. Frag grenades. Reduce the fuse time on the frag grenade for the beta. Throw speed animations are targeted for launch. So see, they're already aware of other issues. They're already working on them, but the current build of the game, they've already kind of stopped working on this one, and they're finishing working on the full build of the game, and they probably have been for quite a while, right? So all these changes were already made, beta's already built, and then it's already set to go, all approved by all the platforms so that it can have a beta on certain dates, and they're already working on fixing some of these things that they've identified but are going to be in a future build of the game. Visuals. We've made several graphical improvements throughout the beta, and we responded to player feedback about low visibility in some areas on Miami map. Yes, map is very dark. With our latest changes, players should be able to spot enemies more clearly on Miami. Graphics, improved graphical fidelity and performance across the board. Lighting and visibility, adjusted lighting and character visibility throughout the Miami map for better overall visibility based on player feedback. Awesome. Audio. Weapon audio, added bass and punch to all weapon sounds by adjusting master EQ and compression output. So I guess they're going to have a little more thump to them because they didn't really sound like that. But I kind of wasn't a fan of that because then you could better hear the actual map. and see what's going on. But I guess it'll balance out so they actually feel a little bit more thumpy, kind of how Modern Warfare does. Added 3 presets for audio: Treyarch mix, bass boost, and high boost to suit player preferences. They kind of just brought back some of those preferences from before, but in general on Treyarch CODs, most people go super crunch, I believe. So we'll see kind of if that ends up being the theme that we get when it comes to that. Redesigned several weapon audio layers, corrected audio decay, playback, and added blending for interior exterior sounds. Polished reverb audio across all maps. Footsteps. Crouch walking now functions as a near silent movement option available to all players, with or without the ninja perk. ADS crouch walking now makes the player's footsteps even quieter. Enemies should not hear the player when crouching outside of extreme close quarters. While ninja is equipped, core movements such as sprinting, jogging, and walking are now greatly reduced in volume and distance by roughly 50% compared to the alpha. So this is a buff, in my opinion. This ends up being kind of what they did with Dead Silence in BO4. It kind of sucked at the beginning because you could still hear footsteps pretty, loudly. That's why it was kind of dumb to call it Dead Silence when it's really ninja. And then in this case, they're doing the same thing and they're making those adjustments. But 50% could be a huge difference because maybe you could hear someone from 15 meters before. Now you're not going to hear them until they're about 7.5, 8 meters, which is a good thing. So that even if someone's moving around, the perk actually has some value to it, especially when it comes to COD competitive, which is always something that they got to be worried about. Hit marker audio. Added new sounds for fatal and non-fatal hit markers. That's good to know. General polished audio for several score streaks. Spy plane audio. Reduce the volume of spy planes' locational pings. For the first time in Black Ops game, spy plane pings are directional and location based on where an enemy is when they are swept by the radar, allowing for pinpoint accuracy. As this new mechanic, we will continue to monitor and adjust as necessary. That's kind of weird. I don't remember hearing these pings. It'd be interesting to see how the mechanic works. Tweak the bullet crack system to prevent players from hearing sounds when they shouldn't and vice versa. Scorestreak system. Objective score rewards have been increased in domination, kill confirmed, and hardpoint. These changes reward any objective player and do not require or reward objective streaking. So if you chain 10 tags together, it doesn't matter if you just grab one. They're just, in general, they're adjusted to fit the right way. Adjusted score streak rewards to reduce score streak spam and make score streaks more rewarding. Players will need to go on higher streaks in a single life to earn top tier streaks. We've known that. The curve has been flattened out on the low end and ramped up quickly as players earn higher streak numbers. Reduce score streak cooldowns to offset these changes and allow players to cycle streaks more often. This is a huge buff because 90 seconds was kind of long. I think if they bring it down to 60 or maybe 70 seconds in there, I think it's going to be a nice balance, especially if you run low-end streaks like UAV, RCXD type stuff. Spawns. We've heard several players during the alpha that they felt it took too long to get in the action. 6v6 game modes on Miami to address this. They redesigned, the team has adjusted the spawns and the spawn logic. It took them from the alpha to the beta to fix this. Modern Warfare still hasn't fixed this on Grasna Raid. When we played it back early access with the alpha, with the content creators, literally we're like, yeah, the spawns don't make sense for these maps. They never changed them to this day. They still pretty much function the same. You'll still spawn off in the corner, nowhere near an objective and nowhere near where you should spawn. So they fixed it almost immediately. That's good to see. Full spawn pass for TDM kill confirm modes on Miami with the goal of reducing the time of engagement, increasing the overall pace of 6v6 so it feels faster. Spawns at the end of the map have been pulled in closer so you don't spawn so deep. Added new spawns to get players back in the fight faster. That's good to hear. More supplemental spawns as long as they're still predictable. Adjusted the spawn logic to reduce the distance at which an enemy player will influence the enemy spawn point. All right, cool. Because a lot of times if you go too deep into a spawn, it auto flips. Now with these other bailout spawns, it's going to be good to see that the spawns function the way that they are supposed to, instead of the way they have been for the last year. Added spawns across several modes to allow for players to spawn safely in relation to the enemy player location at the time of a respawn. Armada, reduce how often players can be spawned at the rear of their home ship to reduce the travel time. I think they'll eventually come to a system similar to Ground War where you could probably even pick the flag you spawn on, but we'll see kind of how that goes. Or at least who you're partied up with so you could spawn in together. I don't know. Adjusted combined arms, domination, spawn logic, and spawn placement to keep players spawning closer to their own objectives, reducing time for engagements and getting players back into the action faster. Adjusted spawn logic to allow for slightly easier spawn flipping in certain modes on satellite instead of the team becoming spawn trapped for an extended period of time. And that happens pretty easily on satellite, but I think that's kind of a good thing, and it's just a matter of balancing that out, because sometimes it could be overdone where you get spawn trapped even just because you spawn in, you're not playing in a party. Vehicles, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what they do. So vehicles versus infantry combat is a dynamic we work hard to balance out for both parties. We've made substantial adjustments for the combat loop in the beta and will continue to dial this in for launch. Bullet damage tuning. Rework the bullet damage mitigation models for tanks to provide a more consistent experience across weapon classes. This fixed some issues where guns seem inordinately more powerful against vehicles than others, mostly LMGs. Adjusted the cavalry lancer weapon attachment to be more consistent across weapons, especially on LMGs. We'll continue to keep this close. So basically it was an attachment that allowed you to deal more damage, I believe, to vehicles. So basically buff that attachment, and hopefully that helps that. Ooh, reduce tank health to make launchers in C4 more effective. They're already winning. They're already winning compared to Modern Warfare's ground war. Reduce the deadliness of tank shell splash damage. Imagine that. Oh my God. Balancing the game so tanks, a rewarded streak that you earn from going on a streak, isn't overpowered just by landing and loading in the game. It's amazing. Ping system. Here's one of these things that's pretty interesting. Ping system added across all multiplayer, allowing players to ping objects, loot, location, enemies for teammates during a match using D-pad on the left of the controller or Z on keyboard by default. Alternating button layouts, they have other button layouts for you. So it's gonna be interesting because if people just spam ping, that could get kind of annoying. So maybe there's a cap that you could put on that, and we'll see kind of how that works. FOV slider, and I'm gonna show side-by-side comparison of what that looks like and what the real difference is, because I did a full video on it, but I have a screenshot that shows it pretty clearly. Define the height and width of the player's view in the settings. Visual HUD toggles. So if you don't like health bars, you can remove them. If you don't want a compass, you can remove it. They're giving more player involvement in terms of being able to control what your experience looks like, which is a huge plus. Nameplates. Adjusted the rule set around friendly nameplates would show to be reduced instances where friendly names would appear over certain situations. Modern Warfare still hasn't figured this out. Literally, they're coming around a doorway, they prioritize and it looks the same. And it's like, okay, I delayed half a second in shooting because I thought it was my teammate and I thought the guy was coming around. So I ended up killed because that's pretty much how it happened. Dead zone, minimum input threshold. Expanded the options to reduce minimum stick input threshold for dead zone to 0. Note, this is 0 is only recommended for advanced users depending on the controller. Hardware setting. I did this in my settings guide. It really depends on your controller, so don't just go and copying people's dead zones, because my controller might need a higher dead zone because it's used more frequently than someone who's never touched his brand new out of the box. And then if I got a brand new controller, I'd have to adjust it to that controller. So it's not one size fits all. You got to kind of figure it out based off your individual controller. Kill confirm score limit. Our data from the alpha showed that the kill confirm was ending on time too frequently. So we've reduced the score limit to 65 instead of 85, I think it was. Start spawn, soft freeze, we enable the ability of players to rotate their operators, swap weapons, ADS changes during the stance. Okay, that's good. Progression, we'll be introducing a deep progression system synchronizing across multiplayer, zombies, Warzone, that deserves its own time in the spotlight. We'll have more details. It's probably going to be prestigious. I'm pretty sure it's going to be prestigious. We'll see how that works out. Well, players won't see the full progression system in the beta because your progress in the beta does not carry over to the full game. The first weekend's beta, probably to the second beta, but not overall, right? That's all we have online. So let me go ahead and show you what the field of view looks like, just so you kind of have an idea of what the difference you are getting. All right, so here's a quick look at field of view. On console, the field of view is set to 80, regardless of what Google says. It is 100%, in fact, 80 on current gen consoles. So you have it right here. This is the box of what your ADS looks like when you're in that 80 FOV. And then when you are on 120, that's how much more of the screen is visible. So not saying everyone should go to 120 or you should keep it at 80, but there's going to be a balance, and it's case by case. It's really a matter of preference. I prefer 100. Some people prefer 110. Some people prefer 80 still, and others prefer 120. Really comes down to your individual preferences. Keep in mind that on consoles and on PC, you will get decreased frame rate the higher your FOV generally goes. Even though in Some cases it could be minor depending on how much you change it. So that's pretty much what I want to show you in today's video. I'm really excited for the beta. And quick reminder, if you are interested in trying to get one of those early access beta codes regardless of platform, go ahead and check out my community Discord, where there's going to be a section for giveaways that you'll be able to sign up for. And I should be rolling the giveaway pretty soon so that as many people can take advantage of it and download it if they need to access it this weekend. If you did enjoy the video anyway, let me know by hitting the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back for more Call of Duty content, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Appreciate all the support of the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.